Okay, so now we're going to take a bit of a deeper dive into CTV. It's a topic that Madonna and I get a lot of questions on, particularly from smaller brands who are looking to branch out into new tactics. I find that it's one of those. Tactics that can be most confusing because for this very reason here of this loom escape, it's a very cluttered, confusing landscape. Content creation and distribution is getting ever more complicated. And so actually all of these kind of macro environment things that are going on right now with our Netflixes and our Hulus actually has a lot of impact in terms of how easy or difficult it is to buy this media and understand how it's performing. And one of the things that makes it so complicated is there's some very specific definitions out there, and nobody uses these definitions correctly. So one of the things I like to say is it kind of doesn't matter, how you brand your CTV or your OTT. It doesn't matter, what your agency calls it, what your buying partner calls it. What you need to make sure as a brand marketer that you're really clear on is what device is my content playing on, what programming are my ads being featured on, and am I in an app or a URL basis, and what are those, what is that site list? Because those are the really key factors that actually determine what media you bought. And you'd be surprised how hard it is to get to that sometimes, because we all have different ways of making CTV. I'll use CTV as the broad term, but we all have different ways of making that definition fit our goal. So your agency, for example, might want to have as broad a definition of CTV as possible, not necessarily, to try to, pull one over on you, but more so to have opportunities to scale, opportunities to optimize. And so, or your vendor that you're working with, it's in their best interest to start with a broader interest of what CTV is, so that they can show you as much content as possible. But you just want to be clear on what it is. As a brand, maybe those broad definitions work for your brand, maybe it doesn't work. And so make sure you're super clear on that. Obviously, there's pros of, having Paramount Plus on tablet. You get additional scale. It's the same premium content, and a lot of times you'll get lower CPMs. On the flip side, if you really want Paramount TV in a CTV environment, you might be a brand that's really looking for an experience that is synonymous with linear TV viewing. And you also, you want to make sure you understand, is your partner being price transparent? And are they making sure to adjust the price for you, whether you're being shown on a CTV device versus a tablet? And unfortunately, sometimes they're not. And so you just want to make sure that you understand where your ads are showing. And so in order to understand where your ads are showing, getting closer to the actual technicalities of the process, as a lot of us know, there's different ways to buy CTV and OTT. You can buy it programmatically. You can go platform direct to like a Roku, or you can go publisher direct to Hulu. So, you could buy Hulu programmatically, or you could buy Hulu publisher direct. They're different buying experiences. Depending on how you transact, there's going to be different targeting and optimization levers available. And, I've listed out a lot of the common ones that many of us are familiar with. Obviously, some of these are more or less available depending on, the platform or the way that you're buying. So for instance, if I'm going to Hulu directly, I don't have the option to say, okay, I want I can't go to Hulu and say I want less Hulu and more Paramount. I would have to actually, cut my IO from Hulu, go out and talk to Paramount individually, and transact with them directly, versus in a programmatic environment, it's very easy to flip the switches between different providers. So it's important to understand what method of buying you're using, because that's going to change what optimizations are available to you. And it's those optimizations that can ultimately lead to how incremental or how can you impact the incrementality of your buys.